is Colin Dixon with nScreenMedia, and I am here, actually I'm in San Francisco, and I'm talking with David Mendels, who is CEO of Brightcove. And David, you have a really exciting announcement. One of the biggest problems, I think, in our business right now, in the video business, is that there are so many people with ad blockers that monetization of video online is just a really big problem. Now, Brightcove has a new solution for that, right?
Absolutely, thank you very much. So first of all, thanks for having me. It's great to be here in San Francisco. We have a new solution called Brightcove Lift that I'm really excited about because it solves the ad blocker problem for people doing video and doing pre-rolls and mid-rolls, but it also solves a broader problem. It creates a better user experience. It helps with the general leakage that you get from errors and latency. And the way it works is this. It's a combination of server-side ad insertion with a really great, lightweight, high-performing client that is aware of the server-side ad insertion. So you get the best of both worlds. You get the ads are inserted in the cloud, which means they can't be blocked because the browser is never calling the ad server. And they're delivered as part of the video stream. They're stitched into the stream. So what that means is you get a more TV-like experience. Instead of having an ad and then getting that spinning wheel where you get 5 or 10 seconds where you wait for the content to start, it just plays seamlessly. It's like much more like TV. It's a much better experience. People view longer. They stay longer because of it. And then the last piece is because by the time the stream hits the client, it's just a video. There's not a lot of complex JavaScript going on that you have to get to work on every device. So it's much more compatible across every device in the world that you can think of. Lastly, because we do use the Brightcove player, which is the lightest, fastest, most modern HTML5 player in the industry, talking to the back-end server side, you still get all those benefits. So you still can have a countdown timer. You can still block the scrubber bar. You can still do interesting things like have the scrubber bar snap back to the ad pod if you seek past the ad pod. Again, whatever you want to do. The last thing I'll mention is this. When a lot of people have thought about server-side ad insertion over the last couple of years, they've said, well, that's a better architecture, that makes a lot of sense, but is it a standard? And so another thing that we're really excited about is we're coming up on the launch of the draft spec of VAST 4.0. And VAST 4.0 is really almost exactly aligned with what we're announcing here with Brightcove Lift. And so we intend to be the first company supporting that to help make that a standard in the real world sense, not just in the standard body sense, and really help proliferate that around the world and help a lot of publishers be successful.
Yeah, that VAST 4.0 standard, that's really important, right? Because this is one of the problems, one of the things that have been leveled at server-side insertion. You can't count. So just talk a little bit about what VAST 4.0 does that's different to the previous versions and how that enables you to count.
Well, VAST 2 and VAST 3 are really all about client-side ad insertion. They don't contemplate the idea that the ad's being delivered from the cloud, and therefore you might have server-side ad insertion. And so VAST 4 is the first one that really contemplates this cloud-based architecture, and it's really designed in a way that's very similar to what we're already doing. So we're pretty excited about that. We can report from the server, but because we have a client that's aware of the server, we can also deliver any reports we need to from the client as well. So there's a number of ways we can solve the problem, but we're going to fit right into the VAST 4 standard. Hopefully that'll go through the draft process and get approved quickly by the IAB, but I think that'll put a lot of people's concerns at rest. And it's a pressing problem, right? So right now, people are really struggling. Some people have ad blocker rates of 10 to 20%, but other people targeting millennials, it's 50% or more. And so if you want to run a content business, a lot of people are saying everything's going to go to subscription. So I step back and look at it and I'm like, well, if all the content in your life you have to pay for on a subscription basis, people aren't going to be worried about their $125 cable bill. They're going to be worried about their $1,000 a month content bill. Ad-supported media is a key part of our ecosystem, and people don't realize how much of the content they receive is ad-supported and subsidized by ads. And this really can solve a very significant problem and help publishers, help journalists, help content creators to make a living so they can keep creating great content.
I just wanted to go back over something you said a little earlier. I think one of the things, I've seen a lot of data saying that millennials really resent ads on smartphones, and one of the things that that makes them accept them more is the ability to control them, to skip. Just talk a little bit about how this technology still allows them to skip ahead in ads.
Well, that's a choice of the publisher, right? So I'm a big supporter of markets here, right? So I believe publishers have a right to monetize their content with ads, but I also believe consumers have a right not to watch annoying things, and that they should be able to choose and pick and choose, and eventually publishers will figure out how to create content that's compelling enough. That's what TV did, or how to create experiences that aren't annoying enough that people will watch. And so all that has to happen, and there's no technology that will solve for bad content that isn't worth watching an ad for. But the second thing is, you can still implement things like skip ads using the Brightcove list solution. So you get the 5 seconds and the skip button. That's something that we can do fairly uniquely because we're using not just server-side ad insertion, but server-side ad insertion combined with a really smart, lightweight client. And that lets you do both sides of the fence. And so I think that's important. The other thing is, one of the reasons that people want to skip ads and that people hate ads, partly it's because a lot of ads are bad. So that's pretty basic. But another reason is they just take a long time to load. You can get an extra 5 or 10 seconds of load time, and then extra load time between the ad and between the content. And that alone is a terrible experience. We know from e-commerce studies, I remember back in the 90s, and this is very old data, but I remember one study saying if you make a consumer wait more than 7 seconds, they'll leave the page. I think that's more like 700 milliseconds now, not 7 seconds. And so that's a big part of the problem. And so part of the solution we have is everything plays much more smoothly. You get fast load times, fast time to first frame. You get smooth, seamless playback from the content to the ad, and that's going to reduce a lot of the leakage as well.
Now, this is actually being used already, and does it work? Are customers finding that it works?
Absolutely. We have 2 significant customers that have gone live, one of which I can use their name, Vox.com. They do great stuff like Vox.com and Eater.com and SB Nation. They're using us on mobile. Their problem was less, the first problem they wanted to tackle was less about ad blockers than about the fact that delivery of ad-supported video on mobile is still challenging. There's really higher error rates. Those are particularly high on Android. What we've actually seen publishers do is start to deliver their video content for Android often unmonetized because they just can't get it to work. And that's a double whammy because A, you're not making money, and B, you're carrying all the cost of delivery. So we were able to go live with them. They're now able to monetize their content across all the devices on mobile. And they're working really well with Brightcove Lift. The other one was a major broadcaster in the US, and they had a property that was targeting millennials. And millennials are where you have the highest ad blocker rates. In their case, it was over 50%. They implemented Brightcove Lift, and they did it. They did a nice, clean A/B test. We didn't do it; they did it. They used their existing player, which was their own in-house DIY player with their own client-side ad insertion, and compared that to Brightcove Lift, and they got a 50% revenue uplift instantly. This isn't one of those things that sort of kicks in over a year, but it either works or it doesn't. And if it works, you can get a really big revenue uplift really quickly. And so that's part of what we're trying to say to all our customers and publishers that we talk to is, we can implement a POC. Let's do an A/B test. If it works and you get a better experience for your viewers and you can make more money, let's go.
David, this is really cool. I've been wanting to see more server-side ad insertion. It's great to see that you have a complete solution for customers. Congratulations, it's a great announcement.
Thank you very much, appreciate the time.
This has been Colin Dixon with nScreenMedia.